This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
A very good evening. Sorry, slightly late coming on there. We're having a little bit of a natter in the green room. We're going to be dividing it up into two parts, a first half and a second half. I can tell you that Craig and Sutty are going to be coming on in the second half, which is after the watershed. We've got the voice of reason that's back to kick us off with, and we've also got a brand new debutant on the channel making their debut tonight as well. I do want to make and say a very big thank you to the powers who power this Extra Time, and that's Creation Wolf, a local company. They power Extra Time, delivering the industry's latest and most advanced digital solutions that take your brand and online presence and digital capabilities to the next level. The link's in the description below. If you've got a business, check them out. They're absolutely fantastic. Of course, we're going to be, we've got a lot to talk about again tonight, of course. The final word on the weekend's action, of course, we've got, and that will, of course, be that fantastic win over the Toffees. We unwrapped them again. We've taken that wrapper off, and they must absolutely hate playing us. Why? Because I think the last three managers, and Jack will probably also want to put this in, the first match that they've won is against Everton. We love playing them. Talking points from the match. We've got our things learnt as well, which is also on the website with Dave Porter. They'll be giving their man of the match performance rating, highlight of the day. It is the final week of the transfer window. Obviously, lots to talk about Nunes, Semedo, and what's going to happen with that. So we have to talk about that. We will be looking ahead to Palace, and of course, we'll be answering your questions as well. Just before I get stuck in to that, I do want to make you guys really, really aware of an absolutely bombastically fantastic deal that we've got with NordVPN. It's an exclusive for the channel. I use NordVPN myself. It works on all the devices. It keeps all your data nice and safe. When I go on holidays, I can watch all the matches and I can watch my Netflix and everything like that. Obviously, it enables you to get American stuff and, you know, get the matches if you need to as well. You can use it on your phone. You can use it on your tablet. You can use it on your desktop. And one thing covers it all. And it's a fantastic deal that you've got there. As you can see, you've got options, £2, £40 a month. It works out at £67.23 for 2 years instead of £184. And you get 4 months extra on top of that. So you actually get in, instead of 24 months, you're getting 28 months. And if you want to get onto that, literally, if you want to get onto that, you just need to type in Always Wolves at the end of the NordVPN thing. It's absolutely brilliant. So I really would suggest you taking the offer because I've only got a week or two left. Right, let's get stuck in to the action. First of all, yes, he's back. The voice of reason himself. It is Jack. Good evening, Jack. How are you?
Good evening, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Yep, feeling a lot more calm, a lot more happy after yesterday's result, if not performance. So yeah,
absolutely, mate. And it's good to have you back on as well. As I say, we're breaking this into two halves. It's just a little bit light today. We've got two guests on each half, and we do have a debutant. So give it up for our debutant tonight. It is our new signing this week of the transfer window. It's Tom. How you doing?
Good evening, Dave. Good evening, Jack. Good evening, everyone.
Absolutely fantastic. Tom, it's so good to have you make your debut. Now, Tom is a long-time subscriber of the channel. He really watches it stuff. And I met him at the Johnny Phillips event. We had a good chat with him and his lovely girlfriend. What's your girlfriend's name again? Hannah, yeah. They've just been away on a lovely holiday. Where have you been?
So, luckily, we've been to Ibiza and Mallorca, Dave. So, yeah, it was
Were you
really
raving
good.
it up?
No, we weren't, actually. We were in the quiet part. So, yeah, just a nice, relaxing holiday.
Fantastic. Loads of people saying welcome to you as well in the thing. So we met him at the Johnny Phillips event, and I said, do you know what? Why didn't you come? Because it's always good to get fresh people on and fresh pundits. And I will add that out to you guys in the chat. If any of you guys fancy coming on here, just drop a link in the chat or message the Always Wolves. And I'm just going to send a message now to the producer, Emma, because I'll send her the link. And then if any of you guys want to jump on, she can, if you message Always Wolves or you drop it in the chat, Emma can get in touch and we can get you on the thing. So, first of all, Jack, I take it you were there yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. Talk me through your day, mate. Just talk me through the day, your build up, the pre-match, the team coming out, the first half, the changes, the substitutions, and of course the goal and that lovely winner at the end. Just give everyone a taste.
So I think, going into the game, I was had a bit of expectation because the first two games this season, Man United and Brighton, I think they're good teams, and we could have played really well, which I think we did. Certainly at Old Trafford, I thought we played really well, and we played okay at times against Brighton, but they're good teams and they'll punish you. And if you don't take your chances and you defend poorly, you'll lose. Whereas again, I'm not particularly having the idea that Everton are any better than us. I don't think they are. So it was a kind of game where I thought if we turn up and play well, then there's a very good chance we get 3 points here. And it felt to me like it was that opportunity was there. So I was a bit more nervous, if you like, going into the game, because the Man United game and the Brighton game, it was kind of like, yeah, if we get a good performance, great. But if we lose, it's not a disaster, because they're probably teams that we're not going to be competing with and challenging with anyway this year, whereas Everton, I think, definitely are. So there's a bit of pressure on the game, I think, from my point of view. And I know Gary O'Neill had played it down in the week. So, but I think deep down, I think he'd have known that it was an important game. I agreed with the selection I'd said in the week to people. I thought Wang for Nunes, obviously with the suspension, made sense. He's the only player, I think, currently who looks capable of getting a goal. I know, unfortunately, he's picked up an injury now, hasn't he? So we don't know whether he's going to be out long term. But I think, he increases our chances of scoring, which is something that we've been struggling with for quite a while now, haven't we? And Bueno for Ait-Nouri, I think there's very little between them, I think. So you can easily rotate between them and not lose anything necessarily. First half to me was really poor from both teams, really. It looked like a game where two teams were just desperate not to lose and were scared to really open the game up. I think when we've played well in this season, even going back to the pre-season friendlies, it's been when the game's been open and there's been a bit of tempo. We've been able to use the space and we've attacked with a bit of aggression. Everton don't let you do that. I've just said I don't think they're a good team, and I don't think they're a good team, but they're very competitive and they're very physical. They've got a lot of athletes in the team. That midfield three, Gay and Onana and Decore, very, very strong, very aggressive, very athletic players, and they don't let you run through them and run around them a lot. I think that was. I understood the tactics of going long, because that means you bypass their press, because that's where they press those three midfielders, push right onto your defence and try and make those errors. So I understood why we went long from the back to the front, but it didn't work because Kuna and Silva couldn't hold the ball up at all. I thought, is it Brathwaite, the centre half for Everton? I thought he was excellent.
Yeah.
Defended really well against Fabio, so he kind of nullified most of our attacking play. So we offered very, very little in that first half. They had a couple of chances, didn't they? The one where the corner was half cleared and Tarkowski at the side netting. I mean, he should have been scoring that, really. If we're being honest.
When that came over, you're probably the same as me. And he's like in the 6-yard box and the thing, you think that's going to be in the back of the net. And when it hits the side netting, obviously some of the Everton fans thought he'd scored, but it was a big relief. He never really got his foot round it, did he?
No, and again, it's kind of those fine margins, isn't it? There'll be Everton fans tonight looking and thinking, well, we weren't great, but we could have won that game, and it's similar to how we were coming out of Old Trafford, in terms of, we lost 1-0, but we could easily have won the game. So, and I think a lot of Premier League games are very fine margins, aren't they? I've watched the game Newcastle-Liverpool this afternoon, and there were points in that game where Newcastle could have killed the game, didn't, and then Liverpool came back into it, and so. Half time, I know there was an injury, but I was pleased he brought Ait-Nouri on. and I think I like that partnership with him and Bueno down the left. I think that works really well.
Do you think that substitution was forced then? Because at the time
Yeah.
I was thinking Wang wasn't on it, and then he brought Ait-Nouri on, and I thought Ait-Nouri really changed the game.
He did, because it's like we said, he opened the game up. He's got that ability to run at people and to find spaces with that driving run. The offside goal for Fabio came from Ait-Nouri driving inside and opening that space for Bueno to get 5 yards to get the cross in. Fabio was just a bit offside, wasn't he, when he sort of tucked it away? Then the free kick.
Finish from Fabio, to be honest. Fabio's better for me when he don't think about it.
Yeah, I think the best strikers are. I think you watch Haaland. He's the perfect example of that. How many of his goals are first-time finishes? The ball breaks to him in the box, and before you've even had time to sort of say his name, if you like, it's in the back of the net. Whereas some strikers, when they're running through on goal, they're thinking, where do I put it? Do I go round the keeper? Do I go over him? Do I put it through him? Where are the defenders? Have I got to square it? And that scrambles their brain a little bit. And I think Fabio was quite similar. The 1v1 where he put it wide, he had far too much time, didn't he? He was probably better off just as soon as he got that ball, just having the shot first time and trying to catch Pickford.
I thought in that instance, because it was at an angle, if you watched it through, I thought Pickford was a bit Sarr-like against, as he does sometimes. I mean, Sarr had an incredible game, but he came and stopped. If he'd have come and had got the ball, he hesitated and he was kind of stood. I would have liked, personally, if he'd have carried on the ball, I think he'd have gone past Pickford and rolled it in the net, or Pickford would have brought him down for a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight never loses, doesn't it? It's easy to kind of sit here and say after the event. But yeah, I think sometimes with Fabio, he does sort of overthink and tries to find the perfect finish, whereas sometimes you've just got to put your foot through it and don't give the keeper a chance to narrow the angle or make the save. So yeah, I thought second half we came into it. I thought it was no coincidence that as soon as the game opened up, we looked a lot better. Going back to what I said earlier, it suits us when we can play end-to-end football. I don't think we've quite got the defensive strength to do a 90-minute game of end-to-end football. We do have to switch off at points and shut the game down and slow it down if we need to. But that last 20-25 minutes was the best part of the game for me, because both teams had chances. There was spells of pressure. Pickford made a very good save from, I think it would have been an own goal, I think, wouldn't it?
I think it came off Silva,
I couldn't quite tell from where we were. Yeah.
Low down to the right.
Brilliant save. It's a brilliant save. Yeah, and then 5 minutes later, Sarr pulls off an even better save, doesn't he, to stop the header from...
hold my beer.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's kind of typical of Sarr, isn't it? I've been very, very vocal in my criticism of Sarr in the past, and yesterday he was terrific, and I'm more than happy to say that. And that save was absolutely brilliant, because I think Gary O'Neill touched on it as well. We were just having our best spell of the game. And to have gone 1-0 down at that point would have been absolutely sort of a killer for morale and for belief and confidence. So I think that was probably the turning point of the game, really, for me. Go 1-0 down there, and I don't think we get anything from the game. To still be in it at 0-0, coupled then
What about that disallowed goal?
I was just about to say as well, with the offside goal that, they went to the VAR, the longer it went on, the more you thought this is going to be a goal here. Again, that morale boost of, actually, we're not 1-0 down here. This game's still there for us to go and win. And then, to be quite honest, when he brought Sasha on, I wasn't quite convinced that it was the right thing to do. I'm not sure why he kept Neto on, because I thought he'd been ineffective all game. And bringing Sasha on, but taking Kuna off, meant that Sasha would be isolated. So I wasn't quite sure if he did manage to hold the ball up, who he was going to hold it up for or hold it up to. But it shows what I know, because the two players combined and produced. I mean, the ball from Neto was terrific, wasn't it? Very difficult for the defenders to get back in position and clear it. Difficult for Pickford to know whether to come and get it or to still stay on his line and anticipate where the header might come in. I think Sasha, deserves tremendous credit for getting in between the two defenders, and yeah, it comes off the sort of the back of his neck or sort of his shoulders or whatever, but. How long have we been saying, Dave? We play all this great football. We just need a goal to go in off someone's knee or someone's shoulder or something and just trickle over the line and get us that goal that wins the game. And that's kind of the case in point, wasn't it? It wasn't a pretty goal, but it was so important.
Absolutely. I mean, you've covered off a lot there, and we've talked about that. I mean, I don't know if you've watched my match vlog yet, guys. If you've not watched the match vlog, the Sasha goal, I've put it on my socials as well. Put it out today. I'm going get the ball into to Sasha, and then I don't know, the telepathic link got through to Pedro, and he whips it in. To be honest, it's a fantastic delivery from Pedro Neto. It's absolutely brilliant. Sasha's calling for it, and he's ghosted in between two defenders. He's gone. I think he's caught it with a bit of his head and a bit of his back, but he's ghosted in, and he's finished it. And Pedro Neto as well. If you watch that video either on the match vlog on YouTube or on social, he's going absolutely mad. He's really pumped up for it so much. Like, he's going for about 30 seconds to the crowd and pumping up. And I love to see that, Pedro Neto. He's basically saying, I'm the man. I've delivered that. Look what I've done. Come on. And it's a fantastic assist. And, obviously, it's limbs after that point. And then, I mean, I'm going to come on to you in a second, Tom. Sarabia comes on and he's trying to win the game. And I'm like, run into the bloody corner. It's like, don't blow the bloody things off. It's like, even Kilman's going at him, get into the corner, and twice he gets the ball. And he has a go. First time it's blocked and shot, they get the ball and are attacking. I'm like, oh. And then we get the free kick, and you've got two players that go to the left-hand side, and he has a shot. It's a good shot. Pickford palms it away, and we get regrouped. But they've just run, and then the whistle goes. But like, run it into the corner. Tom, talk me through it.
Yeah. So again, I think when I saw the lineup, I think I was impressed with it, and like Jack said, Wang, but coming into the side, he deserved that start. At post game, when we're seeing that he's injured, it's kind of a tale of the last couple of seasons. He seems to start the season, and we always find him with this kind of a niggle or an injury. So I really find that disappointing, because I think after his World Cup performance, we were seeing a bit of good form from Wang, and I think you're hoping that he was having a big part to play in this season. I think that is a concern now going forward. With Wang's injury, because I still look at this side, and like us all, we're asking, aren't we, where are the goals? When you compare to previous seasons as well, it's pretty much the same squad, but they are getting in some good positions. I think again, like Jack summarised, first half, we were really, really quiet. We were missing, let's be honest, and like Jack said, quite rightly so. I mean, Sarr, absolutely man of the match performance. And to friends, I was critical of him with the Brighton performance at home. I thought his distribution was poor. Some of his decision making in the box for me was a little bit poor. But yet again, he showed his quality with this away performance at Everton, and showed he's a Premier League keeper. And I think if people have been on Twitter tonight, they'll have seen that Mr. Percy has tweeted that Sarr's looking to sign a new deal with the club, which is positive news, because I think after yesterday's performance, I think without him between the sticks, you start to be concerned. If that was another, with Nunes going, and if Sarr was looking to go before the end of this window, I would seriously start to be concerned, because I think, again, looking at yesterday's performance, who was missing for me in midfield, it was Nunes. I think he offers something different. I don't know what you think to that, Jack. I think, for me, you could tell that Nunes was missing from that side yesterday.
Yeah. I think what Nunes would have brought yesterday was the ability to beat the press. Like
exactly.
I said, with those three midfielders that they had, I know Doucouré plays more of a 10, but he was dropping in to make a 3.
Absolutely,
Nunes has the ability to turn on the ball and get past all three in sort of one movement, if you like. So I think we did definitely miss Nunes.
We did miss him, didn't we? I think, and that, when you're reflecting on the performance, you can see what an impactful player Nunes perhaps is on the side, really, and he does offer something different. And I think when you're looking towards the bench as a manager as well, and you're looking at the likes of Hodge and Boubacar Traoré, they're similar players to Lamina and Gomez, really, let's be fair. I still would like to see Boubacar Traoré feature a little bit more and get some more minutes, but again, we don't know what his fitness levels are like coming back from that injury. But at the end of the day, the 3 points are what matter, and we go away from that game with the results this week. It's a big 3 points. I think, we'd be lying if the players didn't feel how big of an occasion that potentially was. I know that they were speaking at the club. Gary O'Neill was saying pre-game that, he sees every game as a big game. But come on, we know Everton are a poor side, and if you can't go in there and pick up our result, you really are in the mix, and you really are going to be in trouble this season. So I think it's a statement to not only his players but himself and the fans really that, okay, we've got a platform now. We've got 3 points, and I think is it Crystal Palace away next, Dave? I know we've got the cup game, but in the league, we've got Blackpool in the league, which let's hope. I think Blackpool in the week for me, I think that's the time to try out the likes of Traore and Hodge and see what they can do, give them an opportunity. But also, you want to use it as a game to get goals, to really, really find the back of the net and make it a convincing win. Because I think a concern for me with Wolves now over the last, season and going into this season is I'll watch us, and I'm always fearful of that goal, Dave. So like Jack mentioned that if that goal hadn't been offside from Everton, the game could have been dead and buried there. Because when you're looking at this team, if you hold your hand on your heart, you can honestly say you're doubtful whether we're going to win a game 2-1, are you? If we go a goal behind, you're doubtful that we're going to get, a couple of goals to win the game. Or even, you're looking at the Brighton game and those few goals go in, and you just know. I always say if you score a couple of goals against us, really, I think the game's dead and buried. So, yeah, it's one where the window is closing Friday, isn't it, Dave and Jack? And I think, can we get anybody in? If Nunes is going to be sold for the reported now 60 million, I think he's edging closer to a deal. Then, can we reinvest that money? Will that pot of money be used to bring in some last minute additions?
Let's talk about that, because this is my view on it, right? We're going to talk about Nunes and the transfer window whilst we're on it. Obviously, Nunes has got 4 years left on his contract.
He has, Dave, yeah.
4 years left. We bought him for 42.5 million, Jack. Is that about right?
About right, yeah.
Okay. And 10% of any sell-on profit, I think, has got to go to Sporting. That's
it, yeah.
So he didn't have the best of seasons last year, but I will make the point that when Neves was out the team for 2 matches and Nunes was the main man, we won both games last season.
We did, and they were impressive performances, weren't they? Yeah.
Also, even under Lopetegui and under Gary O'Neill, Nunes is one of the very few players that has played pretty much every minute of every game. He has been made the main man in Wolves midfield this year. All the other midfielders have been switched about. Nunes has been made the main man. And to me, his performances on the pitch for Wolves during pre-season, of which I've seen pretty much all the game. We even went to watch over in Ireland, the Celtic game. The game against Man United, absolutely brilliant alongside the game against Brighton. I thought he was still good. And I know he got sent off at the end, and I think that was silly. But
just to interject there, the skeptic in me, and
I know what you're going to say.
Your opinion, what do you think? What do you think
this weekend? And I don't buy that. I mean, I don't.
You don't buy the transfer kind of keeping himself injury free.
No, I do not buy that at all, because you can't manufacture a 95th minute incident on the touchline and have the ball where you want and be pushing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he was on the yellow. He was silly. What I saw throughout the whole of the game was a play. I mean, this is just me. Was someone that was fighting for the team and passionate for the team, and I want to see, like Neto, the passion coming from him, and it went overboard, and he was silly, and it was a rash of blood and what he did and stuff like that. I don't think, and people can be as cynical as the one, he wanted to get suspended. A professional footballer that wants to do that, come on, I don't see it myself. I just think he was just passionate and very, very frustrated with how the game had gone. that we were losing, and we got back to thinking, and we're still going for it, and he just was a bit petulant and silly. Got a 1-match suspension. Jack, I'd like to hear your take on the Nunes thing. I mean, Tom's been having that maybe a bit cynical, and I've seen it mentioned on social. I don't think that. What do you think? Do you think he's deliberately got himself sent off?
I don't think so. No, I mean, I think, like you say, I think it was just a bit. I mean, we're seeing more and more. I mean, I was again going back to Liverpool game earlier with Alexander-Arnold getting a really early booking for throwing the ball away. Gomez did it. Yes, I mean, players are picking up a lot more bookings, aren't they? I think I read earlier that there were 30 red cards in the whole of last season in the Premier League. There's already been 9 this season so far, and we're only into the 3rd sort of game week, if you like. So I think there are a lot more bookings. It's a lot easier to get bookings, and I think players are going to get booked almost subconsciously now because, we've all played football, we've all watched a lot of football. But when you 4-1 down at home and someone sat on the ball, time wasting, you want to give him a shove and tell him to get on with it. And I don't think he's done it with the thought of, if I get a second yellow here, I can have next weekend off. I don't think he's done that. I just think it's the frustration of you're losing 4-1 at home, and the fans, a lot of them have left, and it's kind of been a bit of a flat day, and it's just got the better of him, hasn't it? So yeah.
Yeah, I think that is part of his character that you see, isn't it? He's a bit edgy, isn't he? I think he has to be careful during the whole of that game, really, because he was always looking for potentially being sent off. But like I say, I was just raising the kind of question. I don't think it's my opinion that he did get sent off.
You know what
I mean? I'm raising that kind of question broadly, and I think. Yeah. For me, Dave, I think with Nunes, like we've just mentioned, I think, he is pivotal to what we want to do this season. Of course he is. But I think the only way us Wolves fans will let him go with a blessing is if this money can be reinvested and reinvested quickly. But will you get the quality of Nunes in by Friday? I doubt it,
This is I hate to say it, this is the $60 million question, isn't it, really? Mm-hmm. The one thing I will say, again, and I'll come back onto Nunes, we saw a Wolves team without Nunes in the first half, and we've seen the Wolves team, all pre-season, how we've played with Nunes and the start of the season, and we didn't know what the hell, we had no creativity at all in the first half. Whereas if Nunes had been in there, the creativity, the way he's close, he's brilliant with making space. He draws players to him. He runs with the ball. We weren't doing any of that, and he creates the space for other players. And obviously, we had to make the changes. And maybe the opportunity that occurred because Wang was injured and the type of player that Ait-Nouri is, because Ait-Nouri does love his little tricks. He does like to get out of close spaces. He will drive the ball forward. And Wolves are better, for me, this season when we're running with the ball, when we're actually running with the ball and we're getting the overlaps. And it started to happen in the second half. The Fabio goal, the one that was disallowed, that was really our first real thing. And that I think that moment, the disallowed Fabio goal changed the tip. All of a sudden, Everton started to feel vulnerable and Wolves started to see we could get some.
You saw the belief from then, didn't you, out of the players, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And we started to create chances, and it started, Jack, didn't it, to turn into a bit of a basketball game at points, and like both keepers made some brilliant saves. But it opened up, and we started to be brave again. Whereas I thought in the first half, without Nunes, we looked a little bit lost. And I know with people saying we were dreadful. What's the common denominator? Nunes wasn't on the pitch. So the thing is, if we do sell him, bearing in mind in January, it's the African Cup of Nations as well. Boubacar Traoré and Mario Lemina could be called up for the AFCON. It leaves us with Hodge and Gomez.
And just to kind of add with that, Dave, it is kind of, for me, and looking at the last few performances, I mean, Gomez, to me, was lucky not to get sent off. I know the ref had a couple of words with him and just said, just be careful, you know what you're doing. And we all know, I think, as fans watching the game, Gomez and Lemina, and with how these bookings are being given out at the minute, like Jack's rightly said as well, there is going to be it's inevitable. There is a red card waiting for those two midfielders because of the nature of the players they are, especially Gomez. I mean, wow, what a player getting stuck in. But on his day with a different referee, I reckon he would have potentially got sent off yesterday. You know, the ref did him a favour a little bit yesterday, and he managed the game quite well, to be fair, in our favour. But yeah, I think, and that really moves on to my point of squad depth. It's frightening. You know, you talk about the African Cup of Nations, and I'm talking from a kind of an imaginary booking, sending off situation where we are limited. The squad, you know, we all know we've got a great starting 11 that can match any Premier League side really with where we're competing. But you know, it is frightening where those options are beyond.
You know what, Tom? I actually think that we have got depth in our squad at the present. I think we need more depth. I went through this when I was watching the pre-season game against Stade Rennais, and they were bringing people on. I was counting up to about 20 players. Well, that's more than what.
I think there's key positions for me.
That's more than what Nuno had. But
true.
But like you're saying, with the bookings and stuff like that, there are some inexperience there, which is why I'm saying with regards to Nunes, if they do sell him, and if City do come in with his 60, personally, we can't be selling him a player that's got 4. I mean, if you look at the money that Brighton have got for some of their midfielders, you know, it's got to be big money, and they've got to spend the money, and we've got a week for 3 or 4 days left. Jack, I want you to come in on the Nunes thing, because I want to hear your thoughts on this, and we'll no doubt second half, you know, after the watershed, we'll get Craig and Sutty's views on this as well. But like Nunes, and you guys in the chat as well, 60 million for Nunes. Do you sell him?
I don't. Not at 60 million.
I don't think either.
With how late
kind of add another dynamic into it.
Hold on, Tom. Let Jack finish first.
Oh, go on. Yeah, carry on, Jack.
I was just going to say, with how late it is in the window, it's putting us in a really difficult position of replacing him. You know, we'll struggle to replace him like for like anyway, but being able to get a player in, you know, of that ability, you know, like you say, we're going to have to reinvest a big chunk of that 60 odd million if we did sell him on a player of that level of ability, if we could. I think, like we said a couple of weeks ago when there was talks about Kilman going and different bits and pieces, every player has their price, you know, and every player in that squad, there will be a value where if a club comes in, Wolves have to say, you know what, we can't turn that down. Is that with Matheus Nunes, is that 60 million? I don't think it is. I think you're looking at 70, 75 before we have to turn around and say, you know what, we can't turn that down. I really think 60 million, I think we're selling ourselves short. And if I was Matheus Nunes, you know, I wouldn't be bothered that Wolves were turning down this, because it shows you how much they value you. You know, if I was a player and the club was saying, we're not going to accept 60 million because we think you're worth 70, 75, that probably makes me feel quite good. So I don't necessarily see an issue on Nunes' side of him saying, you know, just accept the bid. I want to go to Man City. If he understands that Wolves are trying to get the best price for the club. So I'd be tempted to turn down these 60 odd million pounds plus Tommy Doyle or whatever it is, and just try and get to that point where if Man City are serious about getting him, that they have to offer us. I mean, they offered 80 million for Lucas Paqueta, didn't they? And they were, you know, Declan Rice and Moses Caicedo have gone for you know, 100 million, 110 million each. So the market is there. If we can get to 70, 75 million, I think that's probably where we need to be.
Well, yeah, I'm going to come back to you in a second, Tom. I'm kind of like on that same sort of page, really, because you need creativity, and he's got creativity, and I feel like he's going to be a player for us. He's on a long-term 4-year contract. I think we've got an option of an extra year. I may or may not be wrong on that. If he has a really, really good season for Wolves this season, his value is going to be like 80 million next summer. His value is only going up. So, like, I think we could sell ourselves short. People, I mean, it's been reported, I think Fabrizio put it down that personal terms have been agreed. I mean, I don't know regarding that, and say like, oh, his head's been turned, he wants to go. I haven't seen a player on the pitch personally that looks like his head's been turned for me, judging on the performance he's put in pre-season. He'll go to City if he does go to City, and I mean, if City come in for you, you know you're going to win trophies. That's the definite. You know, he's going to be playing thing, but for City have a vast squad of players, and he ain't going to be the main man at City this year. De Bruyne is out for 3 months. As soon as he comes back, he's back in. You've got all their other midfielders as well. So he was kind of behind Neves last year a lot of the time, you know, but now he's the main man. So I'm not sure 60 million's it. Tom, you were going to make a point?
Yeah, I think he's got a lot more and just following on from you there, Dave, he's got a lot more in his development to go. So I think regular first team football at Wolves will benefit both us and him long term. But I think my point is always the problem with football, as we know, if his head has been turned and the player, you know, does want to go, and I appreciate what you're saying, Dave, because, you know, you can't say that he hasn't been committed in the last performances that we've seen. But if you know his head's been turned by the likes of working with Pep and gaining trophies, you know, is that going to be too much for the club to kind of handle? And again, is this financial fair play situation real? Does it go as deep as we're being led to believe? And if it does that 60 million just, even though we know that that's short of what it should be and what we could potentially get in the future, is that just too appealing for Jeff Shea and Fosun to basically put the rubber stamp on it and say, yeah, sold, off you go? You know, because...
Well, obviously, that's going to be time to thing, and we're going to talk about that some more. I just want to make a point to the people in the chat. We have a fantastic community on here of everyone that's courteous and kind. WV1 Edits, I'm going to call you out because you have been a little bit rude to people in the chat. So this is a warning. The producers, keeping an eye on it. You will get kicked out or given a yellow card. So, you know, please play nice, or you know you won't be welcome here on the chat. And if you do want to get involved in the chat, all you need to do is make sure that you subscribe. Guys, I want to go on to now your highlight of the day, your performance rating, and your man of the match, if you wouldn't mind.
So do you want to go first, Tom?
Yeah, go for it. So I think man of the match for me has got to be Saar. I think, you know, he kept us in the game, complete athlete in the game, incredible save. You know, that one where he tips it over the bar, I mean, that was just absolutely superb. Performance rating of the whole game, I mean, it's a tale of two halves, literally, isn't it? I think the first half can be a really low rating. I don't think we went missing too much for me. But the game as a whole, if I'm going to rate it, I'm going to give it a 6 because they showed desire, and you know that they did match Everton for most parts of the game, certainly that second half. So, you know, I feel we went there and got a good 3 points. And what else was it, Dave?
Well, your highlight
of the day has to be seeing that goal go in the net from Sasha. I mean, you know, if any of you have watched the documentary and just knowing the setback that guy's had, and to also for us Wolves fans to see a striker finally be signed and then into his debut so short, go down with an injury, which is just dreadful for both him and us as fans. To see him come on yesterday and have such a good impact. And I think one thing just on Sasha, Dave and Jack, I think what was really pleasing for me and something that I haven't seen for Wolves in a long time was literally his presence as soon as he came on the pitch. And I mean that with his height. You know, he was tearing over defenders, and what a kind of player and a wild card to bring on in any game. Because if you can be whipping the balls into the box or having set pieces, I mean, I bet Sean Dyche was thinking, crikey, I'd love to have him in my side. Do you know what I mean? Because he would suit Sean Dyche's side to the ground. But, you know, thankfully we've got that option now, and he is a different option. So, yeah, for me, highlights definitely seeing that goal go in by Sasha and getting the well needed 3 points.
Absolutely, Jack.
Yeah, I can echo a lot of what Tom's just said there. I mean, I saw man of the match for me. I'm just wondering, again, guys in the chat and you two as well, how much of an impact this new goalkeeper coach Neil Cutler's had. I wonder whether he's already starting to work his magic.
That's a really, really good point. You say that, Jack.
Yeah, because I think not just the save, but commanding his box was really good. His decision making was very, very good. You know, that for me, I said before, I'm not a massive Sarr fan. My major criticism is decision making. You know, how many penalties he's given away when he's run off his line and just taken out a striker, or you know, he's come for a cross and punched it to the edge of the box and the shot's come back in. You know, but I think yesterday, I don't think he made any poor decisions at all, whether the ball was at his feet, whether it was to come for a cross or not. So I wonder whether, maybe I'm, thinking a bit too much into it, but I wonder whether Neil Cutler's starting to work his magic on Joe. And if he is, then this new contract and everything, then absolutely, yeah, because we've seen what Sarr is capable. Go on.
Yeah, I think Jack as well, just having the likes of Bentley and King as his backups, that's only going to support him, And I think for me, what I was more pleased about with where I was a bit critical of his Brighton performance, although I'm not blaming him for the loss by any stretch of the imagination, but to come back and bounce back with such a good performance. And I think now all we need to see from Sarr is pretty much that first season that we had, of him between the sticks, where he was sensational. And if he can repeat that season, then wow, what a keeper, because consistency now is going to be key for Jose Sarr for me this season.
His distribution, if you can get his distribution right. I mean,
absolutely, Dave.
He's proved that he's a fantastic shot stopper, and let's face it, he made 2 or 3. The one other good thing that hasn't been mentioned about Sarr yesterday, he commanded his area. The amount of balls into the box when he come and catched and took the pressure off, because Everton have got some very, very big players. They've got some really, really big players, and I thought that defensively we dealt with a lot of crosses into the box, and Sarr was instrumental of coming out, punching and catching. So you've got to give him a lot of credit for that. Jack, did you finish your? You hadn't finished your lot, had you? There, what you were saying?
No. Like I said, I think Sarr man of the match. Performance rating, I'm going to go 5 because I know we won, and that's probably the main thing. But I don't think we were very good at all. I mean, I thought it was 2 really poor teams. I mean, you'd be very, very concerned if you were an Everton fan watching that performance there, and listening to a couple of them on the way back out the ground. They said that was very similar to their first game against Fulham as well, where, there's not a lot in the game and they managed to lose it. I mean, Sean Dyche has made a career out of winning those kind of games, hasn't he? It's a scrappy, tight game, a set piece at the end nicks it for his team, and they've lost 2 of those already this season. And it's gone against him. So you'd be very concerned if you're an Everton fan. We were average to poor, if you're being brutally honest. Like I said, first half, I understood the tactic, but it didn't work. Second half, we came into it, and it suited us when the game opened up a little bit. Better teams will punish us. Some of our defending again was quite open, a bit sloppy. And like I said, we relied on a couple of very good saves from Sarr to kind of keep it at 0-0, and an offside flag as well. So can't be too excited by the performance. The result absolutely much needed and very important for Gary O'Neill as much as anyone to get that first win and to get off that 0. I mean, there's still 4 teams on 0 points, aren't there? And again, we're off that now, so that's good. Highlight of the day, again, like Tom says, Sasha getting the goal. Brathwaite and Tarkowski didn't lose a header all game. As soon as he comes on, first ball into the box, he's there before them, isn't he? And like Tom says, that's going to make such a difference. Teams don't like physicality, do they? They don't like to be challenged. They don't like to be threatened. So as soon as you've got a guy that's going to win headers and can hold the ball up, it's going to put a lot more pressure, particularly if the defenders are getting tired and it's getting late in the game. If they're on a booking, for example, and he's backing in and turning you, then he's going to be a real asset. And again, what Tom says with the documentary, you see what he's gone through, and it must have been really difficult for him just trying to settle in a new country. And you've come here to play football and you can't do it for a year. The celebration at the end, you could see what it meant to him. I thought he was quite reserved with his celebration. If it was me, I'd have been going absolutely bonkers. But I'm very, very calm. I think he realised that there was still a game to win and a job to do. But yeah, I mean that's going to be hopefully a huge springboard for him going forward as well.
I hope that that is in the they put that in the third part of the documentary.
I think they've got to, haven't they? Yeah.
That would finish it off. I mean, he's played. Someone said he's played about 60 minutes for Wolves, and he's got his first goal. So absolutely brilliant. Finally, looking ahead to obviously we've got Blackpool on Tuesday. In the cup, it'd be interesting to see the team he plays there. I do want us to progress. Hopefully, he plays a team that gets us through, and because performing and winning games is a good habit to get into.
Absolutely.
Won't be an easy game. I've seen us drop out to sort of League One and League Two opposition many, many times. But let's get the job done. Palace away next week. Your thoughts on that and score prediction? And do you think? And your other thing is, will Nunes be here in that team at Palace?
Cool.
So do you want to go first, Tom?
Yeah. So. Score prediction, I think my heart's saying one thing, my head's saying another, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. That's my score prediction. Do I think Nunes will be playing for Wolves?
I'm putting you on the spot. It's a yes/no
I
question.
know. I really want to say yes, Dave, but I'm going to have to say no. I do think Fosun will bottle it, and I think he'll be sold. Just tell me one thing, both of you. Do we know whether Nunes' agent is Mr. Mendes? Do we know that?
I think he's very much part of that stable, isn't he?
Yeah, because I think if that's the case, I can see him going, because we've seen it before. There can sometimes be a little bit of a cut price to different teams when Mendes is involved. So I can see Nunes going for around the 60 million mark.
Okay, Jack, to you finally.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, we've probably seen Nunes play his last game for Wolves. I think again the lure, like Jota went to Liverpool, I think the lure of Man City is too great for us to kind of, in terms of looking after the player as well. I mean, I'd imagine, I was saying this earlier to someone, that when we brought Nunes to the club a year ago, it was with the idea that if a big team comes in for you in 12 months time, 18 months time, we're not going to stand in your way. That's kind of how we attract the likes of Nunes and Neves and Jota, isn't it? So I think there's an obligation, not an obligation, that's the wrong word, but there's almost a responsibility for the club. To kind of say, you know what, if a Man City or a Barcelona comes in for you, then obviously there's a deal.
You know what, Jack? I think we've been way too nice to players leaving this club. Connor Cody, go on, off to on loan to
Everton.
To Everton and things like that.
What about with Adama Traore to Barcelona, Dave?
Traore to Barcelona. So too many times we've been, well, we need to do what is right for this club. Not right for the player. At the end of the day, they're paid a handsome wage, and they're paid a lot of money, and they're on a long-term contract. And if Manchester City, and if I was blooming the chairman of this club, and if I was blooming, you look at Dan Levy at flipping Tottenham Hotspur, and he gets some stick, but he yells out for the money. If they want to buy him, I would say, you want him, we either want 60 million and we want this Boyle or whoever the guy is that people are on about, and we don't want him on loan, we'll have him on permanent. So we'll have 60 million and this player, or you give us 70 million. And if you're not going to come with either of them things, don't even bother coming back and talking to us. See you later. That's how they need to play. They need to be hardball and play it like that. Yeah. Happy days. You can go next summer. We'll get 80 million for you. And if you have a good season this son, you'll have the whole world coming for you. You'll have your pick of clubs. You won't just have the one. You're the main man here at the moment. We're going to build this team around you. You're going to start every week, and you're going to, your value is going to go up. And next season, let's have a good season. They come in with the money. But, we can't just drop our pants and just go, you're Manchester City, you're going. We've got to me, we've got to basically demand the money, because it worries me that if we sell Nunes, we're going to be hoping to get someone in that's going to do that role. And I saw in the first half against Everton how lost we look without that player on the pitch, personally. So I don't know.
I think what's disappointing, Dave, as well, given that this is coming out and this late in the window, and you're seeing that we were linked, weren't we, at the start of the window with Alex Scott this, Alex Scott that, all the time, a creative midfielder. And perhaps
we
if
could have
that
sold
deal,
him then for 60 million, we could have gone and bought Alex Scott. I know he's injured.
Yeah, but even so, but even if they'd have got that deal done early with the like, I mean, did they know they were going to sell Nunes? Who knows? We don't know, do we?
Anyway, we do have to move on. It is past 9 p.m. everyone, so it is past the watershed.
It's my bedtime, Dave. I need to go.
Absolutely.
It's past the watershed. So, guys, thank you very much. 50 minutes. So we've basically played the whole first half plus the new amount of added time. God bless you. Tom, have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, loved it. Thanks for having me on, Dave. Thanks, Jack, as well.
No problem.
Brilliant. Jack, thank you ever so much, mate.
Not a problem. Thanks, guys.
Fantastic.
Cheers.
So that's half time. Just a reminder, guys, that you can get the NordVPN deal. Make sure you check it out, because you won't get a good deal on this on a VPN, and it's one that I use. And make sure you check that out. The link's in the description. But if you go to NordVPN/AlwaysWolves, you'll get the discount. Let me know if you've got it. I am so delighted that we've got a fantastic second half of the show, and we've got over nearly 350 of you watching. So if you do want to get involved in the chat, all you have to do is like and subscribe, and you can get involved in the chat as well. First of all, in his stately home mansion with his piano, we have got charismatic Craig. How you doing?
I'm really well, thanks. How are you, bud?
I'm brilliant, mate. I'm absolutely, I'm as good as what can be in the circumstances. I had some joy yesterday. I saw Sooty and I saw Chris at the end of the game, waving and stuff with us, and they had smiles on their face, and we were waving at everything. And I'm delighted we have the man, the myth, the legend, Sooty. How you doing, mate? Good to see you yesterday at the end of the game.
Good evening, David. Evening, Chris.
Good evening, mate.
Right, sorry.
It is past the watershed and everything. And like, obviously, you were at the game yesterday. You were in the lower part than me. You and I think Chris was with you, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Yeah, and like, you saw us when we were waving over to each other and stuff. Just sum up the day, mate. Let's just start from the beginning. Go into the game. Your pre-match ritual, the team coming out, the first half, the second half, the goal, the end. Sum it up.
Well, trip up was better than the trip up to Man United. The motorway was better for a start. We found a parking space really easy, so that was pretty good. Had a point before, and then the team come out and, well, what most of us expected anyway, with no Nunes. And then it kicked off. And it was terrible, Dave. It was absolutely abysmal. And I thought, my God, how can we go from United 12 days ago and even being attacking against Brighton last week to this? It was like watching Wolves away last season. It was awful. And I said to Chris, I said, oh my God, we're in trouble. Because we made Everton look good, Dave. Wave after wave.
Jeff Shee's obviously got to Sooty again. Craig. Every time he comes on, I swear to God, Jeff Shee comes out and he plugs Sooty's internet because he don't know what he's going to say.
His 4G's been cut off, hasn't he?
It's Jeff. He's on to him, He's on to him.
Oh, dear. Poor old Keith.
Are you back, Keith?
Can you hear me?
No.
Yeah, we can hear you, yeah.
You can hear me now, can you? Well, even if you
We
can
can,
hear me,
yeah.
that's one thing.
We can hear you.
Yeah, it was poor when it played. Let's be honest.
I think, Sutty, you're going to have to log out and log back in again. We'll come
Weren't very
back to
good at all.
Craig. Log back, log out, log back out, and log back in. Craig.
I agree with him, Dave. I thought yesterday is the first time I've been worried. But as you got to the back end of the first half chat, you summed it up. Why? We've got to tell Manchester City to go and do one. They've got enough players, world class. They don't need our boy. So rather than all this 70, 80 million quid, Dave, tell them to just get knotted. And if they want him, then they'll have to come for him in 9 months' time or a year's time.
You want about Nunes?
Yeah, and he isn't worth £80 million. He's worth whatever we're going to get for staying in the Premier League because he makes Wolves tick. Without him, a number of our players don't work. Lamina doesn't look as good for a start. I mean, Lamina yesterday worked his socks off, but look like a chicken with no head. Cunha was nowhere near as effective because Nunes opens up space, he attracts players in, and he gives extra space for all our other players to play. And why we don't play Sasha and Silva off each other with balls coming in so that Sasha can knock them down.
Big man, little man.
Well, not just that, Dave. If you've so watch Fabio pre-season and the first two games, his greatest asset is when he runs from deep space into the space created. He isn't an out-and-out number 9. So that if he's feeding off the balls from the wings into the box and Sasha knocks them down with him coming late, he's going to score a bag full of goals. We're not playing him right at the moment. But Nunes is crucial to us. There is not anybody.
Did you come to that opinion as well from watching that first goal?
Dave, in the first 5 minutes of the game, you could see we got no fluidity at all. We looked pedestrian, as like Keith said. We looked like old-fashioned Wolves. And this is why I sort of kept banging on about Moutinho and Neves being defensive-minded, being negative players. We have now got an offensive midfield player who is going to be world-class. Why do we want to sell him? Why do we want to sell him at all? Keep him and tell City to go and do one. Full stop.
Yes. Sutty, sorry about that. Jeff Shee, you need to get onto NordVPN, and then he won't be able to find you. Sutty, you were saying before Shee got to you, if you want to carry on from that point, and then obviously pick up on Craig's point at the end.
Yeah, I mean, we were just poor, Dave. Like I say, I mean, we had no. I'll tell you what we lack, Dave. We lack actual loud leaders on the pitch. There's nobody pulling people around saying, you get in here, you get in there. For me, you should have a leader in the back line, a leader in midfield, and you should have your top man up front. And that's how it should be for me. It shouldn't just be one leader. You should have your generals in each department. And we've got none. There's no one there, Dave. And it showed yesterday. When the pressure was on, they were panicking. Everton cut us apart really easy, Dave. They were better than us yesterday. And they're rubbish. They're terrible. And I feel for their supporters, I really do. But going on what Craig says about Nunes, he is that special thing. We've got workman-like midfielders. Gomez, Lamina do all the dirty work. But you've got Nunes in the middle. When he picks the ball up and starts driving at people, that unleashes Cunha.
Great space as well.
It's no surprise that Cunha looked bang average again yesterday because he got nobody doing that work for him and then laying him in. He just didn't. He looked like the player last season for a time being again. And unfortunately, Dave, I think the boy's head's been turned. I don't think we'll see him again. I think he's gone.
He's under contract though, Keith.
I know, but they're worth the paper they're written on, Craig. And when you've got an owner like we've got who wants to get as much money in as possible, they'll sell him.
4 years left on a contract. He's not a short contract. He needs to be told, this season you're ours. Next season we'll talk.
I think he's been playing like he's fully committed as well. I don't see that he's been down tills. I know he got sent off. Some people, like I say, could be cynical and say we got himself sent off on purpose because of whatever. But I just think he was silly. But he was frustrated and there's passion. And if you're frustrated and you're passionate, that means you're committed.
Hey, nothing will make me happier if he stays. If we get to this time next week,
we're kind of all on the same page, aren't we? Sooty, to me, I know I said this, but you probably heard me just before. If City come knocking and they want to pay the money, for me, and Jack said it as well, 60 million ain't enough. It needs to be 70 million, or it needs to be 60 million, and one of their two rising star young players that's just breaking through into the team. I can't think of that. Is it Doyle or someone I mentioned? Yeah. And not on a loan, on a permanent. It's like you can pay 60 million, but we want him as well because we need replacements. We can't be faffing about like you said all window, and you have said this. We want to get the players in early and stuff like that, which is great. Well, City have had all blooming window to come in and bid for Nunes, and then they're doing it with a week to go. And said, sorry guys, you should have come in a lot earlier. Our team set. He's not just a makeshift player in this team this year. All pre-season, Nunes has been in, even under Lopetegui, he has been the main man in every single game. The whole game plan has been built bringing him as the main man, and now you sell him 4 days before the start of the end of the transfer window.
Right, Dave, there's a reason Man City are late, and Nunes needs to realise that.
He's second or third choice.
They were absolutely. De Bruyne has got injured, and he's out for months. That's the only reason that they are in for him. And if he can't see that for what it is, he's a fool. And when De Bruyne is back fit, he'll be a bench warmer. Whereas for us, he'll be our main man, and he needs to be told that.
I agree. I agree totally, and I think if we're at a point now, I mean, we've talked about this, and I know me and Sooty have had disagreements about different things and stuff like that, but he's right on what he was said about getting the business done and stuff. If we're leaving it late, it's selling players late that's going to really hurt us, because every single player that's gone out in this window so far, you can make an argument for. You can go, yeah. Even Neves and Collins, Cody, all of them, you can make an argument for. We can sell Podence, hopefully, before the end of the season. I mean, he's bombed out by Lopetegui, and now he's bombed out by Gary as well. You know, Otto, Podence and Otto, you could bring it. You could get another £15 million there. All being told, from what I understand, our FFP issue in terms of what they needed to do for the FFP, it's done. We don't need to sell right now. They showed that because they didn't sell Kilman to, is it Leon that were coming in with 35 million? They didn't sell Kilman. He's captain on a long-term contract because he's key to the team. He's key to the defense. He's key to the plan. Matheus Nunes is key to that team. You take him out of our team, we might scrape some results, but I think if you take him out of our team, we lose 10 points straight away. Personally,
boys, you guys couldn't have seen the teams in the tunnel yesterday pre-season because you were there. Our team looked pretty fed up, and I'm not surprised because all they've had our owners do is badly bloody manage our club.
Absolutely.
Excuse my swearing. Now, eventually, that filters down to people because as a team, you're trying to build this teamwork and you're trying to drive forward, and it feels like the people at the back of you are chopping your legs off behind you, and you can't keep doing that. She needs to go and bloody do one and chuck himself in a swamp where he belongs, right? And this Gukwang Chong noodle brain, he needs to go with him, right? And we need to get proper owners in who are passionate about our football club, just like we are. Nunes stays put, and we start to build a team again for the fans, not for their profit shore up of their main holding company.
Well, I mean, I will state again. Lots of investment was made in the last few windows. Yeah, no, it was wasted, but I don't think it's Fosun that's wasted that money. I think there you go. I think it was Sellers and She that wasted that money personally, and obviously they've been trying to get the money. And I haven't had a problem with everything that's gone out at the moment. And I've said judge the transfer window at the end of the transfer window. And this, to me, right now, this week, what the decisions that they make this week on the likes of Nunes and Semedo and all of those people that are rumoured, if it's a big, the fans will judge it. We will judge it on what happens. If they hold their nerve and they keep Nunes and they don't take the money, that's a statement to me that they're seeing the bigger picture. If they sell Nunes and they bring 3 or 4 quality players in that help the team, obviously you'd have to see how it goes. But if they sell him and then you're just running around trying to bring someone in, what's £60 million to get him relegated, Craig? Before you go on, I just want to say a big thank you to Tony Richards, who's just become our latest member. So please welcome Tony as a member. I will put the link to the Discord group on after this, Tony. Thank you for joining. If you do want to become a member, like Craig and Sutty as well, we have some good debates in the Discord group, to say the least. It gets feisty sometimes. But get yourself, become a member, and we'll welcome you into the Discord group, the members' Discord group.
Who are you going to bring in then, Dave? Who are you going to bring in to replace what is clearly a world-class young kid? You ain't going to bring anybody in anywhere near that, and we go back to the dross that we've seen for the last 2 to 3 seasons. Me and Keith, Dave, can go back to standing outside the North Bank, where when the under-14 sign was up there, 14 pence to get in there, right? Well, all those years, these owners, mate, they ain't got an absolute clue. Nunes has got to stay. We cannot replace him, Dave. We are a different side with him in the team, as proved when Nevers got suspended last season. And I was ranting on here about it, and all the members, they say, "Oh no, Nevers is God. Nevers is God." I'll tell you something. Nevers ain't got a patch on this kid, Dave. I'll tell you, this kid's going to be world class.
And this is again the point, and Sutty, I'll come to you. I know we're talking about Nunes, but it is a hot subject and it is concerning all of us. In a year's time, he's going to be worth 80 or 90 million, surely. If he's had a good season, he's going to have Real Madrid, Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund, or Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester City, Liverpool, United, Chelsea. All of them will be fighting. It'll be a bidding war, and we'll be able to sell him for a lot. You've got to look at what happened. Brighton, I don't, if they've sold players for the midfielders for the amount of thingy, then Nunes, Shuli's on the same thing. We cannot sell him for to me, it's short-sighted. Sutty, if you're the chairman and Man City are coming to you and they're speaking to you and they're saying, we want Nunes. Nunes has said, I'm interested in going. What are you doing, Sutty? What are you saying? What price tag are you slapping on the window on it?
Well, if I'm Jeff Shee, well, I'm a complete prick, so I'm going to sell him for about 60 million because I look at the smaller picture, Dave. But if it's me,
we're on about you, Sutty.
If I'm going to sell him, I want 75, 80 million for the lad. Because if they're offering 90 million for the lad from West Ham, he ain't as good as Nunes.
Absolutely.
But Dave, you've just lined me up. So I spent a few hours this afternoon.
Oh, he's done his research. Before you go on, I just want to say, Soames, who I've met, lovely bloke. Soames, who I've met, lovely bloke. who's also become a new member tonight. Thank you very much. After this, I will put the link to the members Discord group. Thank you for joining. You're gonna have fun in the members chat, mate. Crack on then, Sutty. This is interesting.
So what I've done, I've spent a couple of hours here because I'm fed up of people saying that Wolves don't sell players, right? So I've gone from when we won the championship, from when we signed Ruben Neves, right? So 2017, 2018, Fosun spent £21.5 million. And Neves was the ballpark at that at about 16 million quid. Right. We then got promoted, didn't we? And if you remember, we had Jota and Willy Bolly and people like this on loan. We had the obligation to buy them if we went up. Right. So the following season, first season in the Premier League, we spent 82.5 million. Huge jump up, right? Yep. We're all looping the loop. We signed Jimenez on loan, but we had to buy him the following season. And then we bought other players in with him. And 2019-2020 season, we spent 83.2 million, right? So these people clearly spend, right? So we've got to get it out there. They've spent, right? The following year, we spent 71.5 million.
What year is that, mate?
2021. Okay. 2022, 21-22, bad year, wasn't it? Because it was sort of it was right in the middle of the COVID. Still spent 45 million, Dave. Right. And then last year was the monster year because we spent in summer and winter, and we spent £135 million. So from the beginning of the championship winning campaign, 2017-2018, they've spent, you both sat down, ain't you? They've spent £438.7 million on players. But wait, Dave, because we don't sell, do we? So 2017-2018, we sold £6.5 million worth of players, okay? The following season, 2018-2019, we sold £20 million worth of players. So this is money coming back into the club.
Yeah.
2019-2020, we sold another £20 million worth of players. 2020 to 2021, we sold £73 million worth of players. If you remember, Jota, Doherty, all of these going out for the door.
Yeah.
21-22, we sold 27 million. And then 22 to 23, up to now, we've bought in £92 million worth, right? And if we sell Nunes, Johnny Otto, and Podence, which is highly likely, and I've been really reserved here, Dave, and I've said for £70 million for the three of them. That means they've bought back in £308.5 million over the course of that 6 years. So they spent 438 and they've bought in 308. Okay. So if you average that out over the 6 years, they've actually spent £21.7 million per season.
If you take out the 60 million for Nunes, which may happen,
yeah.
What's the I think
238.
So what's the spend per season then?
Well, if you take it would be 31.7 million.
Which is nothing.
Okay.
Right, I've not finished yet. Just give me a couple more minutes and then I'll shut up. Right.
I'm enjoying this, Keith.
So TV revenue over the 6 years and sponsorship. So TV deals, so you get your TV money, which is about 79 million, then you get your place per position in the Premier League. So I've taken us on 10th place, right in the middle.
That makes sense because that's probably our average position.
Right in the middle. So we've bought in that 6 years, 632.8 million, right? Players' wages per season, right? £57 million. Now, Fosun bought us for £45 million, right? And last year, if you remember, Dave, they wrote off a debt of £126 million. Okay. So if you combine all of Fosun's outgoings with paying that debt off, all the wages, and bearing in mind as well, Dave, Wolverhampton Wanders have actually got 237 employees, right? So what I've done is I've worked out the wages for the employees on the national average wage, which is £27,700. Now, right?
How long does it took you to do
Right,
this?
and listen, right? Now, if you think about employees at Molineux, this is every other week, barmaids, people waving flags, stewards, they are on 27 grand a day. So I've been really, really over the top here. So that comes out at £6.7 million a year for these people, right? Now, I don't know what the running costs of Molineux are, but they ain't spent bugger all on it, let's be honest, apart from a bit of scaffolding in the corner for the Gene Kelly stand. So the total outgoings with paying the £126 million debt off is £914.7 million since we won the championship. And guess what the total incomings are, Dave?
Don't know.
941.3 million. So as we're after the watershed, Dave, FFP is bullshit.
Everyone give Sooty a clap, man. He's brilliant, isn't he? Absolutely. Listen, if Craig's got his arms up, oh man, that's brilliant. How long has it took you to do that?
Few hours.
This is why we pay him the big bucks to be on the channel, man. Absolutely brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Well done. It's really good.
You can't trust
Dave. If they sell
Jane
Nunes,
Lane
Dave,
wants to know what about the shirt sales.
I ain't even gone into that. But if they sell Nunes, Dave, and they don't reinvest that money, that profit goes up to nearly 100 million quid. And if they get a buyer in for about 200 million quid, Dave, they have made best part of 250 million quid out of Wolves in 6 or 7 years. They ain't paid a penny.
Fantastic, mate. That's really, really good. This is why I'm saying this week with the Nunes thing, to me, it's the acid test. It's the acid test. What happens with Nunes, because us three here, and I think Jack and most people in the chat as well, are basically, if Man City want him, they're going to have to pay, like you said, 70, 75
They
million.
don't have to sell him, Dave. Man City could come in and offer 150 million.
Absolutely.
We don't have to sell him. And the best part about it is, Dave, they can go and buy 3 players still, and they won't breach financial fair play. It's rubbish.
I know, I agree, but I do think if they do offer 70, 75 million, probably that's okay. Most fans would understand selling at that point, but not 60 million.
Dave. I wouldn't. Who's going to replace him? Our team looked pedestrian yesterday without him.
Mate, I completely agree. I wouldn't personally sell him in this window. I wouldn't sell him, and the people are talking about him coming in for 60 million. If like you, Sooty, probably like you, Craig, if Man City were coming, I would tell them, you either pay this money or go away, knowing that they're probably not going to come back for that. And I'd be saying to Nunes, you're on a 4-year contract, mate. You're our main man. We're building this team around you. You're going to be starting every week. We want you performing like you have pre-season and everything. This is your time to shine. And I guarantee you, in a year's time, you're going to have your pick of clubs. You'll have your pick of clubs that want to come for you. And we can sell him for more money. We've got time to plan and actually get the player that we want in. A bit like what Brighton do. Brighton, when they sell a player, they've got someone waiting to come straight away. They're like,
don't sell them cheap either, do they?
We don't want to be like 4 days before the end, 3 days, 2 days before the end of the transfer window, scattering around trying to bring someone in and going, oh yeah, we've announced this signing. And I reckon if we sold him, we're guaranteed losing about 10 points off our placing for next year, and that could mean the difference.
Absolutely.
And 60 million doesn't mean anything when you're relegated into the blooming championship, you've got to start again. You've lost the TV money. It don't mean nothing. We need to be, like you said, and I think Sutty, Craig, Mosley said, we need to get rid of the deadwood. Good job. Happy with that. And we need to build a team that's going to turn into something. They've brought some good players in. We've got a good squad. Craig, you've said this about the squad that we've got right now. It's a squad, if we can get them playing, they look good. And then we need to add into that.
Just quickly as well, on all those players that have gone out, when you look at their wages, they've saved £23 million a year on wages. That's just on the players out.
Dave, as a fan, why would you want to invest your time and emotion and your money in a club that is continually regurgitating the best players we've seen? What would you want to do that? So every signing that we made, no matter how top class it was, as a fan, you'd be saying, right, well, we've got him for 6 to 9 months. What? That's no strategy for success at all. That's just a selling club, that is, to make a profit.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just come on this? Adam Rureniki, I hope I said that right, has put, Nunes has gone. It's on his Instagram, mate. It's not, no, mate. You've got that completely wrong. It's Nunes' birthday today, and that's what Kuhn has put out. It's got nothing to do with him being gone. It's his birthday. So you're completely wrong with regards to that. Just sort of clarify that. Listen, we can talk about Nunes and thing, and we'll obviously know by next Sunday whether he's in the team. Just to finish this section, because we'll get back onto the game again. Craig, is he going to be in the team for Palace next Sunday?
In my view, yes, he is. We need to tell City to bog off. We need to tell him to get his head back straight, and he's a Wolves player, and he's a Wolves player for the whole of this season. Suck it up.
Sutty?
No.
You don't think so? We've got Steve Johnson that said, nice to see Wolves get a win. Have a soft spot for Wolves. Cheers from Canada. Thanks for that, Steve. Much appreciated.
It's not that I don't want him to be there, obviously, Dave. I think they'll sell him, Dave. I think they're raking in as much as they can. And I firmly believe that we won't have this ownership model for the rest of this season. I think we'll be sold.
You might be right, mate. We might be right. Well, obviously, time will tell. And I do think it's an acid test this week. And we'll find out, won't we? We'll get our answers. I've said it, judged by the winner. Let's go back onto that game. Sutty, first half, we've talked about not very good. Second half, carry us on from there.
Wow, it was much better. I'm intrigued, Dave. Why do we keep playing Neto on the right? Because he just checks back all the time.
I know.
It's so frustrating to me. I mean, I wouldn't do that myself. But anyway, it was much better. I mean, I've seen a lot of people laying into the young and up top, but you can't keep buying players, and then when they don't really, we've done it with Catroni, we've done it with so many players where they've said not good enough after a few games, not good enough. He's getting in the positions, and I've just got a funny feeling. I don't want to give up on this kid yet. I've got a funny feeling that he'll get one. And then he'll get another. I mean, he could have 4 goals in 3 games if he'd put them away. I know it's ifs, but he's getting the positions. And I think, like Craig said, if he's got a big enough top nodding balls off for him, a proper target man, he's going to feed off him. A bit like when Sheringham and Shearer played together. Sheringham did all the old up work and everything, and Shearer was there. I've got a funny feeling that he could get us 10 or 12 goals.
Mate, I kind of agree. And I think, Fabio, you can't teach positional play. You can't teach the runs. You can't teach how you drop off. Strikers do that instinctively. Yes, he's missed 2 one-on-ones, which he should have finished. That's because when he's had time to think about it, he's tried to make sure. The goal that he did score that was offside, fractionally, instinctive finish.
Class. Yeah,
he didn't have time to think about it. He just finished it. And I think, I think what Craig, you might have mentioned it last week. You've got to give a player a proper run in the team, and when they start firing, I'm over the moon for Sasha. Absolutely brilliant. He's played 60 minutes in total over a year, and he scored, and he was. If you watched my vlog, and you've watched the thing, he was calling for it. I don't know, Pedro Neto was over on that right side, but he actually whipped the ball in with his left foot. He checked back.
Yeah, he did.
And the delivery. And Pedro Neto, like I said, he was going absolutely. His delivery was pinpoint, absolutely. And we know Pedro can deliver a ball, and the run and the delivery and how he picked him out and how he made the run and got in between the two defenders. It was fantastic to see. And I agree. I think Pedro's better running down the left. I think that's his natural position. And I used to like when sometimes they swap. They change sides and they give the fullbacks. We used to do that as well. But how were you feeling when the goal went in, Sutty?
Oh, mate, it went nuts. Absolutely nuts. Because it was a smash and grab, really. I mean, let's not make no mistake here, Dave. Jose Sarr was unbelievable yesterday.
He was
absolutely incredible.
That save that he made, falling back and tipped over the bar. Yeah, what a save.
He kept us in a game, Dave, yesterday. But I mean, we've got out of there. I mean, when we walked out after, we obviously with all the Everton fans, they've just said, why can't we be at the end of a game, staying in a ground, singing to our players? They're so dejected. I really feel for them. I really do, because we've been there, Dave. It's horrible. And I was chatting to a few of them, and you could hear them talking on the way out, and they're so dejected. And they said it's going to catch up with us. We can't keep.
How many times did Coventry? Remember Coventry? They kept scraping up year after year, and then eventually it catches you.
Well, you can't keep doing it, Dave, and I think it might catch up with them, to be honest. And I don't want them to go down. I like going to Everton. It's a good day out, to be honest. But it's like us. I don't like us. With the mindset is there are three worse teams than us. Wolverhampton Wanderers and Everton shouldn't be thinking like that, Dave. Absolutely. We should be thinking, right, who's better than us and what can we do to catch them, right? Not who's worse than us so we can just scrape up. Because if we keep going with that mindset as well, Dave, well, guess what? We're going to be caught out as well. So
this is the concern, isn't it? You don't sell your best players from under you right now. You need them. Because
not without proper planning. Exactly. I get Neves. I get it. Sell Neves, double bubble at the end of the day, because nobody else is going to pay that for him. Fantastic deal. Same with Collins. You made some money on Collins because I watched him on Match of the Day last night, and he still frightens the life out of me. And he don't even play for us, and I was turning away. But the likes of Nunes and what have you, if you're gonna sell these players, you must do it early. But like what Craig said earlier, Man City have left it to this time. Well, let's be honest, Dave. This club has become a selling club because of these owners have made it quite public. They're prepared to sell anybody. So if you wait till right at the death and you dangle something that they might just sniff at, you'll get it. And I've got a funny feeling as well, Dave, that Fosun Group will accept a deal probably the penultimate day and say, you know what, we just didn't have the time to get anyone in.
Absolutely.
I hope not, mate. Craig.
Yeah.
Obviously watching the game.
Yeah.
Talk us through your reaction to that.
Yeah. In the first half, Dave, and you sort of, I couldn't believe how many short passes we're giving to each other. The number of passes that were a yard and a half short, hospital balls for our players was ridiculous. And you get that when your team are a bit nervous, a bit edgy, not sure about how they feel. And again, this is a lot to do, in my view, with what's going on in the background.
Yeah.
In the second half, marginally better, but I'm not. I mean, we've got no focal points at the front that frightens defenders. until the last 15 minutes. And Neto was playing, as you say, on the wrong side. Cunha was very, very ordinary yesterday. Lamina run his nuts off, but they all want it. There's no doubt there. Every one of those players would absolutely give their all, but we looked devoid of any cohesion. There was no transition in the play, and again, we struggled against the press, didn't we? Any side that presses us, Dave, we really, really struggle with. And we've been struggling now over 2 to 3 seasons on this, and that's what the coaching staff are paid for. You know, we really need to have a strategy for the press because again,
you can use the press to your advantage. If I mean, look at Brighton.
Or City
you can pull them on and you can cut through. You've got to be confident. If you start hesitating, you get caught.
But Dave, everybody looked yesterday and said, "Oh, West Ham, magnificent side, beating Brighton 3-1." We had more of the ball against Brighton, not just a bit, a lot.
And more
shots. Yeah, absolutely. West Ham yesterday had 23% possession, but their game plan was spot on, which was really tight defence, really tight formation. And when you can break on Brighton, you've got to make it count. And they did.
I remember a team like that once.
Yeah, and me. So we have got a really good first team, irrespective of what the doubters think. I'll play the game, Dave. We've got some really, really good players, but our bloody owners need to get a big grip, and they need to decide whether they're going to keep Wolves or sell it, and they need to do it quickly. If they're going to sell it, do one. And our team need to be able to be given an absolute chance. And Silva, we get off his back, Wolves fans. He's a young kid, and he's gonna be a massive, massive goal scorer for us. His spatial awareness, as I've said before, and his intelligence. But like everybody at Wolves at the moment, when we get a chance, we're fluffing our lines because it's become a serious mental issue for us. And Sasha's goal yesterday wasn't great, was he? It hit him on his shoulder. So it want that beautiful header that was put wide of the keeper. He got something on it, and he
glanced it off his head onto his back.
Yeah, absolutely. And a bit of luck we needed.
What I will say about yesterday, no, I didn't hear anybody calling out Silva. I mean.
No, I think they've been quite supportive of him. Generally, the fans generally, I think they've sang his name, and he's been getting a lot of love and support.
I think as well, Dave, what the young lad's got to do as well. If he gets hooked after 70 minutes, I don't mean he's been no good. It means he's got to show a little bit more. He's got to be a bit more humble, Dave, when he's taken off and not throw his toys out the pram like he did again yesterday when he was, when he was taken off and he's throwing his armbands and that off all over the place. That might be personal frustration, but it don't look good, Dave.
I agree.
I think he's got to channel that a little
team,
bit.
Not about you.
Yeah, he's got to channel that a little bit.
Is that his youth, you think, and he's in a bit of immaturity?
Yeah, well, at the end, when they came over to us at the end, they all dragged him into the middle as well, the players, so that they do realise that I'm not saying he's struggling because he's getting in the positions, Dave, but he's not a lone striker, Dave. That's not his game. He's got to feed off someone, Dave. Yeah. And can I just ask as well, a quick question? So we've been playing a back four now. So this is our 3rd season. And we had a real true identity under Nuno, where we played 5 at the back or 3 with 2 wing backs, whatever you want to call it. And we were sold a dream, as it were, that we were going to be this attacking force that was going to score goals for fun if we went to a back four. Has it worked?
No.
And would you go back? Would you go back to the Nuno years where We knew what we were. Teams hated playing us, Dave. Absolutely
let's
hated
face
it.
it. We had an identity then, and since then we haven't really found this identity. Maybe Gary O'Neill, he will find us an identity. The one thing I have been impressed by him is I was worrying that he was going to just sit back and be, let's just try and nick one. I mean, and we did yesterday, but it wasn't that we were sitting back. We've been quite brave in all the games, and I want us to continue to be brave, because ultimately, if you're creating the chances, you're getting into the positions, eventually you're going to start putting them away. And Everton, you said about Everton, their fans are frustrated. It's been year after year. They've been 17th or just getting out of it on the last day, the last 2 seasons, but they can't score. They haven't been able to put the net. I mean, we've got Sarr to thank. He made some really good saves. But like the one thing that we did do yesterday, we created chances again in the second half. And I thought towards the last 20 minutes, we were the better side. The last 20 minutes, we started, you could see the panic starting to happen in the stands. Everton up until then, they were quite comfortable, but we were looking like we were going to score every time we went forward. And eventually, what a great substitution. And he brings on Sasha, and we mix it up and we change the dynamic. We bring the big man on, and it works, and we've won the game. I said earlier, I was a little bit frustrated with Sarabia. I don't know whether you were at the same. I was screaming, run it into the damn corner flag.
Yeah, when he took that free kick.
We had 2 players over there. It's like, just run the clock down. How many times have you seen a team that's winning try and score another goal when they don't need to, and then lose the ball, and then they're all forward, and then you get caught, and if that had happened, he would have been lynched.
That's a player desperate to show he's trying his hardest. He's desperate, Dave.
I know.
I get that.
I get that.
Sometimes when you try too hard, especially like at top level sport or whatever, anything like that, I think top level sport, it comes natural. You don't really have to try hard. You're natural at it, and when you have to try hard, it means you're struggling a little bit. And I think he is. I think, look, he was at Porto on loan from PSG, and he scored something like 18 goals.
He did, and loads of assists.
He's no mug, but we've got to remember, this is the Premier League. This is streets ahead of the Portuguese league.
And he said that. He said that, didn't he?
Wolves would come top or second every year in that league.
Yeah, absolutely. And he
anyway,
said
let's finish off the show with Craig will go first. Highlight of the day could be anything. Eating a bag of chips.
No.
Man of the match.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind, but there's 2. There's and the saves. The Pickford save was just unbelievable, and Sarr matched it, if not better. They were both stunning saves. At any level, neither of them should have got them. I thought Sarr's save was better because he was actually falling backwards, and he sprung from a falling backwards position, kept his eye on the ball, and that ball floated it in the air, and he had to stay there and knock it over. It was absolutely stunning. And the Pickford side was pure instinctive. Obviously, the goal was just a massive relief, but my stomach for the whole of yesterday, I don't know whether you guys were the same. Rolling. We could not afford to lose that yesterday. I know it's only the 3rd game of the season. We had to win that yesterday.
It's a big win. Psychologically as well. Gary O'Neill's first win, and for the team to get off the mark with points, it's big psychological blow for Wolves, for the confidence of the team. Yeah. But it's a massive psychological blow as well for Everton. That's a sucker punch for them. They're real sucker punch. They've had 2 home games and apparently played well in both and lost both 1-0. Sutty.
Highlight of the day, I think the diehard 3000 have found their voices again, Dave. as you know, I was a massive advocate for Lopetegui. How many arguments have I had with you about Lopetegui? I'll openly admit it. We've had some quite heated discussions over Lopetegui. But I'll hold my hands up. A fresh start with somebody who nobody's putting under pressure really as a manager, because he's almost like he's been thrust into it. Nobody's going to hold him to account if we went down. Nobody. I don't think there was many people probably wanted the job, to be honest, Dave, with this ownership model. So he's come in under no illusions that he's not going to have much to spend, if anything. So it seems that we have got that siege mentality where we think, well, we got out these lads and yesterday at the end, it was deafening. It was like United away, and that away was incredible at the end. So that's my highlight of the day. The Wolves supporters, because we'll drag these lads up. That's for certain. And my man of the match, there can only be one man of the match for Wolves yesterday, and that was our man between the sticks, Dave. He was outstanding.
He was. Probably his best game in a Wolves shirt for a very long time.
I would say so, yeah. For 18 months, that's the best game he was.
And Jack made a really good point. Maybe the new goalkeeper coach is starting to make an effect. It's a good point, because, he's got fresh coach with him as well. And, he really, really, really did everything right yesterday. The area, the catches that he took to take the pressure off as well, those little things. His distribution, he didn't go too bad with that. That was okay as well. And then his shot stopping. Oh, fantastic.
But I mean, for a win, I'd normally give us a win. I'd normally give us a 7 for a win. But it was so poor, Dave, overall. I'll give it a 5.5.
5.5, yeah. Fantastic. Well, there you go. Finally, if you've got any quick questions for the guys before we finish, just bang them in the chat now. We'll have 5 minutes of questions if there is any. Thanks to the new members. Also, don't forget a big thank you to Creation Wall for powering the show tonight, a local company, which is much appreciated. Craig, Blackpool in the week, Tuesday. Yeah. Obviously, let's hope we can continue winning ways and get a few goals. And then Palace next week. What's your expectations?
Tuesday night, 3-0. Palace next week. For some reason, I've got a 2-0 win in my head. We'll go on from that because we weren't great Saturday, as we all know, and we're certainly not going to play that badly again. And we could do with going there and winning, because that's a bogey ground for us as well, isn't it? Palace's. So I hate that ground. It's a long drive. It's dour. So we just need to stuff them. 2-0.
2-0. Yeah. And to you, Sutty?
Well, for Blackpool Tuesday night, I'd go pretty strong for that, Dave. And if he's up to it, Kalajdzic, I'd love to see Kalajdzic and Fabio up top.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd go with them two leading the line. And because it doesn't matter who you score goals against, it gives you confidence, Dave. So I would go, we'll beat Blackpool. Palace away, I'm going to have to sit on the fence, and I'll take a draw, Dave.
Take a draw.
Yeah.
A couple of questions here. Well, first one from Chris Humphries, your mate. Chris says, Craig, prefer a stick of rock or a sugar dummy? Chris, what do you like, mate? He didn't watch the game this week, so I couldn't get him on.
A stick of rock, tell him. Stop sulking, Chris.
Stick of rock. There's a Billy Big Chops. Billy Big Chops for the guys. We'll be primed for a sale. And then we've got Darren Phillips. Sutty, do you agree? It looks like we've been set up for a sale.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, we are.
He thinks so. Although they have publicly came out and said they're not selling, but I think
pumps the price up, that does, Dave, when they say that.
The price is right. They might do.
If you remember, Dave, Mr. Putin said that he wasn't going to have a war with Ukraine. Don't be so trusting.
Adam says, do you have confidence that Fabio Silva will start finishing these clear-cut chances?
Yes.
Well, yes, I do, because you can't just keep ditching players. You've got to stick with them at some point. We destroyed Catroni like that. Can't do it again.
Absolutely. Max Hastings wants to know, is Sutty releasing his homework as a video on the channel?
Yes, I charge 20 quid an hour, private tuition.
20 quid an hour. I'm just looking to see if there's any others questions. I think that's about it, guys. Thank you very much. If you've enjoyed the video, please and enjoyed tonight, please smash a like. It lets YouTube know that you enjoy it. We're only 16 subscribers short of 31,300. So if you're not subscribed, why not? Make sure you subscribe. If you're watching it back on the catch up, leave your thoughts in the comment. If you're listening to it on the podcast, give us a rating wherever you're driving in the world. You know, loads of you, over 300 have been with you live on the chat all night. Big thank you to Creation Wars, and just a reminder, don't forget to get the NordVPN discount whilst it's still on. All you need to go is in the link in the description below on your podcast, or in the description, #AlwaysWolves. You won't get a better deal on a VPN than that on Trusttree, and you've got a 30-day money-back guarantee as well. Craig, Sutty, Jack, Dan, thank you so much for tonight, and love and best wishes to you guys wherever you are in the world. From all of us, always Wolves.
Always Wolves.